Wouldn't it be great if we could take that big, happy public internet with all of its bandwidth and use it like it's our own private wide area network? I could send information to our branch office in Tokyo. Tokyo could send that information on to our branch office in London, and London could send that back to corporate headquarters here in Tampa, Florida, all utilizing the public internet. This is a reality, folks, and it's a reality made true thanks to virtual private networking, one of the hottest topics in networking today. Please join me for this live lesson where we will look in great detail at the various forms of virtual private networking and the technologies that make this exciting aspect of computer networks a possibility. Hey everyone, wouldn't it be great if you could go ahead and use the public internet, which you may be able to access from your home office location for as little as $9 a month, that's $9 US a month. Wouldn't it be great if you could go ahead and utilize that connection to access all of the corporate resources that you need and do it securely? To use the internet as if it's your own private network? This is indeed one of the ways in which we can engage in what's called a virtual private network. The thing about this virtual private network name is that it can actually be applied to many, many different technologies. But in this presentation, we're going to limit this term virtual private network to what I just described, a situation in which we are utilizing the internet like it's our own private network. The term virtual in this sense means that we're in one location and we are accessing another location like we're sitting there, okay? The term private means that our communications, although they're transpiring in the public internet, they are private. We have confidentiality. We have authentication. We have integrity in the communications. And of course, the network is for that we're using a computer network for this connectivity. VPNs, in this rather classic case of VPN, these VPNs come in three common variants that I want you to be aware of. The most classic I depicted here for you on screen, it's a remote access VPN. I bet you everyone listening to me has done this at some point. You go from your cute little mobile office or telecommuter environment. Aren't these cute little homes here? I'd like to purchase one of those. So you go to this particular environment and you connect to the internet via your DSL or your cable or maybe even your good old-fashioned dial-up connection. And you go through the internet and access the resources at your corporate headquarters, and you access those resources for a time, and then when you're done, you disconnect and you tear down this VPN connection and you just maybe surf the public internet or do whatever. Maybe you even terminate your connection in the case of dial-up to the internet itself. So this is a remote access VPN, and think how wonderful this is for your road warriors. For those people that have their laptops or their other mobile computing devices and they have to go from city to city to city with appointments and meetings, and all the while they have to be constantly accessing the corporate resources, and they need to do so safely and securely. Now, another type of VPN that is becoming more and more popular is the site-to-site VPN. This is where you're connecting your various branch offices with headquarters on a permanent basis, where the connection you want to be up all the time. You are simulating a wide area network with these site-to-site VPNs. Think of how mad this would make our internet purists, right? internet purists, they can't stand this. You're trampling on the public internet like it's your own private network, and you're doing it with permanent connections. So it is a pretty interesting debate. There's also the concept of a secure socket layer VPN. This is really pretty neat. This type of VPN allows you to literally fire up a web browser. Okay, you fire up a web browser like the relatively new Google Chrome, and you access the VPN connection utilizing your web browser. Very interesting. This eliminates one of the major hassles with VPNs, and that's special, properly installed and configured VPN client software that's required in order to access the VPN. Well, virtual private networks are certainly exploding in their popularity, and I need to tell you the primary technology that's behind the scenes of most of these VPNs, and it is called IPsec. IPsec, short for IP security. What makes IP security so interesting and also so complex is that it's not just a single protocol. It is a suite. It is a wide variety of protocols that work together in order to give you that security triad of confidentiality, integrity, and authentication. Interestingly enough, IP security is totally optional for us to use in an IPv4 environment, but it is mandatory that your IPv6 devices support it. So when the makers of IPv6 got together, they said this IP security suite is so amazingly powerful and so important that we absolutely want to ensure that every V6 device has it built in. Pretty remarkable, and it gives you an idea for the power of the IPv6 protocol. Now, when we are in our Windows environment, for example, and just about any client computing environment these days, the makers of the operating systems realize that there's a really, really good chance that we're going to need to do a VPN. So they will make an attempt to build the VPN client functionality right into your operating system. Here we're in Windows 7 Home Premium 64-bit, and I've just fired up the Network and Sharing Center by right-clicking the particular taskbar option, or you could find this in Control Panel. And sure enough, here we have an option to set up a new connection or network. We want to set up a new connection, and specifically, we want to connect to a workplace. This will enable us to go through and set up our VPN connection. Are we going to use the internet, trample on that public internet in order to do our private VPN work, or are we going to dial up directly? Let's go ahead and simulate using the internet. And we go ahead and provide the internet address. You know, it would be a public address in many cases, but I don't want to accidentally use someone's public address, so I'll just say 10.10.10.10, even though we know that's a private IP address. We give it a particular name. I'll just leave VPN connection in there for now. And we'll say other people connected to my machine can use this connection. And please don't connect now. I just want to set it up. Next, we provide the username and password that we are going to use for the authentication process. And maybe we have a domain that we have to specify as well to get on the network. abcco.com. How about we do that? And then we create this particular connection. This connection can now be fired off and utilized to connect securely via the internet over the public internet. And at our headquarters, we connect, or we set up what we call a VPN head-end device. This is a router, or it's a VPN concentrator, or it's a firewall that is programmed to accept these incoming virtual private network connections. One of the things that's interesting about this is if I choose Connect Now, it's going to go through and try and connect, and we didn't give it the specifics of how the IPsec VPN is set up. So notice what it's doing. It's trying everything. It's just going to go through and try and make this connection using every VPN technology it can think of. Leave it to Windows to try and make our life easy. Obviously, you can go into the properties of this VPN connection and you can configure the specific settings so it doesn't have to go through this ridiculous trial and error process of every possible virtual private network technology. So virtual private networks, they're here to stay, and this technique is getting more and more popular and more important for the functioning of organizations today. I suppose it's because A, we want to be able to work from everywhere now, and B, the network has become such a critical component in the success of business organizations. From the smallest to the largest, more and more, the network is the lifeblood of much of the organization's function. Thank you so much for joining us in this live lesson on virtual private networking.